Hey everyone, welcome to Real Estate Collective. And again, today, REC co-founder and one of my dear friends, Shay, is going to show you how to set up Claude to do your work for you while you're asleep with your family, out showing houses and doing the actual work that makes us money. And again, I'm excited to learn this all myself. So Shay, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the intro, Chase. I have just put the download link for Claude in the chat. So if you don't have Claude desktop downloaded on your computer, you will need it today. If you were here a couple weeks ago, we built some skills, and skills can be built inside of your browser window. However, in order to create the scheduled task functionality, you need the desktop app. So go ahead and download that if you haven't. Also, if you haven't paid the $20 a month for Claude, you also need that for this type of functionality. I'm going to show you how to have a $20 a month assistant, probably the cheapest hire you could ever make on the face of the planet. Totally worth it. So I would recommend that you go ahead and get that ASAP so that you can follow along today. It's always easier when you build in person versus trying to go back and do it later, which I know sit on my to-do list, and I don't do those if I don't do it while I'm here. So you have a couple minutes to download that while I go through what we covered last time, and then we're going to jump into our build. So I'm going to share my screen here. And okay, so today we are going to be setting up an assistant for you. So it's important that you get the desktop app downloaded like we talked about while you're here. So I'm going to skip over that part and let anybody get that downloaded if you don't have it already. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what we did last week. So the replay link, which I will put here in the chat, is from 2 weeks ago, was where we built a couple of skills. And did that link come through okay? Can one of you check that, please, Chase or Lisa?
I did see it. Shay, can you make your screen a little bit wider?
Yep.
Or zoom in
Thank
a little bit,
you.
perhaps? Thank you so much.
Is that better? And do you want me to zoom in too?
Better, and maybe throw a little command plus sign once or twice. There we go. Perfect.
Better? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
for the reminder
excellent.
on that. It is always so funny how it renders differently for those who are watching online.
I got used to it because my screen at the office is like a 27-inch like monster, so I can see it, but I know when it's shared, it's like this tiny. So
Yeah,
I have to
exactly.
zoom in like 9 times. Yep.
Check that link for me because I don't know if that's the live link for last week. Just a reminder. So
That link worked. Yep.
So if you missed the session a couple weeks ago, we did a couple things. We built a skill for a content engine. So we use Chase as our example. That prompt can be found in our prompt library. We have the prompt library is right here. You can go in and pick up the content skill engine prompt, and all the information is there. If you watch the recording and pull that prompt, which is taking a few minutes to load at the moment. There we go. The prompt is all there. So definitely get into the prompt library if you're not there yet. So we built that prompt, the content engine skill, and then we also built the bandwidth brief skill. Apparently I'm having trouble talking today. So you can rebuild both in 10 minutes from the session page. It was, we spent some time on it. We had some discussion and stuff, but I think if you watch maybe the first, I think Chase, you were timing it, but we built a skill in like, I don't know, 10 minutes, and we had some chatter at the beginning. So I think if you
it was like 11 minutes, including my Q&A, and all that was done. It was done like 11 minutes. It was crazy.
Yeah. So quick watch if you want to catch up on that. And today, so like that was the what. So the skills are what we wanted Claude to do for us. And we gave it a lot of good instructions on how we wanted it to do it. Now we're going to talk to about when to do those things. And so you can think of a skill as kind of like an SOP. And then the when or the scheduled task is like the employee that shows up to work at 8 a.m. and immediately starts the thing that they need to do. So we are going to write the prompt once, and then we are going to tell Claude when to run it, and then Claude will run without you. The only thing that you have to know about Claude running without you is that your machine needs to be on, and it needs to be, if it's a laptop, it needs to be open. So this has been probably the biggest change in how I've started operating my day to day with the Claude app installed. So I used to, I love that meme that gets passed around every Friday where people are slamming their laptop shut for the weekend. One of my favorite memes. Love it, love it, love it. But in this particular case, I now take my computer over to my desk in my house, plug it in, leave it open. That way, any of my scheduled tasks can continue running. So that is a change in how I have had to operate with these scheduled tasks running. And Claude Cowork does need to have an open on computer to run your scheduled tasks. I don't have a ton of stuff running on the weekends,
Did,
but that's like most of the stuff during the week. What were you
did
going to
you
say,
have
Chase?
to then change like your battery settings and stuff to not go to sleep and like have it on like 24/7? Is
There's
that kind of,
actually I have it plugged in when I'm doing that. I haven't quite figured out the best way to do that. Or sometimes I'll like, come home with the laptop closed. Then before I go to bed, I'll plug it in. And then in the morning, I'll open it up. And a lot of my scheduled tasks happen around like 7 a.m. So you got to kind of figure out what your
yeah.
methodology is. A lot of people have a Mac Mini now that a lot of this stuff is running on, or maybe a desktop computer that sits on your desk on all the time. When we get into Claude, I'll show you where the setting is, where you can actually tell Claude to keep your computer awake. So that's the setting that I have turned on.
There we go.
So when you have that all set up, Claude can run without you. So it truly is like an employee. And we basically are going to train the assistant once. Then the assistant is going to show up to work every day, never calls in sick, never has any excuses, never has any reasons why they don't do it. If there's something that you dislike about how the task is being carried out, you just make a quick edit and the next day it gets resolved. So it's pretty amazing. The things that you might schedule for tasks would be like the morning briefing, which we're going to do today, your Monday content draft, which we're also going to look at today because we built those skills 2 weeks ago. And then another thought that I had is like maybe a pre-listing prep checklist the night before you had a showing. So for instance, like if the morning brief is finding all your showings, then you could set up a scheduled task the night before to look at your calendar, see if you have any showings, and then go out to the internet and pull you like whatever information you want to gather about those homes. Maybe you wanted to just create a quick little info sheet to hand to your clients. By the time that you sit down at your desk that next morning at 8 a.m. and you're prepping for those showings, you have this nice little handout that has the 3 homes that you're showing that buyer on it, ready to go. So, that could be an idea. You guys can start playing around with those once you get the hang of this.
So kind of like a custom built like tour guide, like tour report almost.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I know for
Okay.
me, like,
Okay.
I don't show homes very often anymore, but when I do, I always am like, oh, I want to hand the client something. And the MLS sheets in my area aren't super pretty. So that might be an example of something that you could have Claude Cowork help you pull the night before. Okay, so we're going to jump into our build. So our first one is going to be the bandwidth brief that we built 2 weeks ago. And this is to free up your bandwidth. That's the name. That's why it's called that. And it's going to run 8 a.m. every weekday. You can schedule it for 7. You can schedule it for any time. It's going to go into your Gmail, your calendar. It's going to generate the bandwidth brief and email to you. And you're going to wake up with this one glance view with an email in your inbox. And we built a lot of that last time when we set up the skill. But the skill right now is completely driven by you going to Claude and asking it to run your bandwidth brief. What we're going to do is schedule that task so that it runs automatically. So if you didn't set up the bandwidth brief with us 2 weeks ago, just for example purposes, you're going to want to go into Claude, and I'm going to show that on my screen next. You guys see everything okay?
Hey, and while I'll take a quick second here too. I mean, this is designed to be interactive, and so unmute yourself, put your camera on if you want, drop in the chat if we're going too quick or you want to double tap on something. Make sure that that we're going the speed that makes sense for you, because this is designed to get you guys this done before the hour's up. So I want to make sure that, again, we're
Yeah.
going at a pace that makes sense.
As you have questions, please let us know so that we can address them, so that you can walk away with something totally built, ready to go.
There's also a raised hand button on the bottom left of your screen too, if you want to kind of just raise your hand and hang tight for a sec. So please interact.
Yep. And no silly questions here. I mean, we're all learning this all together. I had to brush up on a few things this morning, so don't feel like this room is too advanced or not advanced enough for you. We're all kind of at various stages. Okay, so here, if you weren't with us last time, you're going to want to click on your name here in the bottom left-hand corner of the app and go to settings. And you're going to want to make sure that you have connectors in place so that this task can do what it needs to do. So if you see here, you can browse connectors and you come up with a list. So here is Gmail. That's the email system that I use. There's Microsoft 365. I use Google Calendar, so mine's already connected, and it's really easy. Once you click on this, it says connect right here. I already have mine connected, so you just hit the connect button. Because you're logged in with that email address, it should connect pretty automatically. But I would get your calendar and your email connected there so that Claude can read what it needs to. And you might have to, let's see, when you come here, you will have to look through these settings. And I have it basically able to read all of my email and calendar. So right here, this button means always allow for reading my email. And then it would need approval. It has to ask me if I wanted it to write emails or delete a label or things like that. So I'm asking it to ask my approval to do any of those things, but I'm allowing it to read everything else. So you can get those settings set up yourself. I think this is close to what the default is when you connect.
I've not changed mine at all, and that is exactly how mine looks too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty customary, so you don't need to get too deep into the weeds in the settings. Okay, so then we're back here on the dashboard, and you should have these 3 buttons here across the top. You have to be a pro member to be able to see these, so you have to be paying the $20 a month. So if you can't see these buttons across the top, that means that you haven't paid to upgrade. And I think here, if you click on settings and upgrade plan, that's where you can upgrade to the $20 a month so that you can see the chat, Cowork, and code buttons pop up. So I'm going to click on Cowork, and then I'm going to click on scheduled. So
hey Shay, I just tested this on my side. Can you do a command plus once or twice? You can also zoom in on the Claude app too. I think that's better. Yep. Excellent.
Okay. Great. So here's chat, Cowork, code. One thing that I want to just go back to real quick, because this is what we did last week, and I just want to give a little bit of a lay of the land. If you click on customize, and then you click on this button right here that looks like a plug, excuse me, that's where you find, so let me go back and do that. So we're here in Cowork. We're going to click on customize, and then we're going to click on the plug called plugins. That is where you can find your list of skills. So last week, we built the Chase Whitney content engine and the bandwidth brief. So here are the 2 skills that we built last week. So if you go back and watch the replay, if you weren't here 2 weeks ago, go back and watch the replay. In about 30 minutes, you can build these 2 skills, but build it for yourself, obviously. We did a quick interview with Chase to get the answers for his content engine. And then we built the bandwidth brief, which is really just built off a prompt. So you can build those yourself and get them saved. And then we're going to come here to scheduled, and those are going to be the foundation for our new tasks. So you probably do want to do that first if you're following along, but you can continue on with what we're doing today. Even if you haven't built those skills, we're just going to use some prompts instead. You might just want to go back and build the skills and do some tweaking once if you did miss a couple weeks ago. So now I'm going to go to new tasks. So I'm here in Cowork, scheduled tasks, and I'm going to say create with Claude. So immediately by just clicking on that button, it's going to say it's going to type this for me. I didn't type this. It says, I want to set up a scheduled task, briefly explain how scheduled tasks work in Cowork, then ask me a few questions to figure out what I'd like Claude to do and when it should run. Scheduled tasks let me run work for you automatically without having to ask each time. You define a prompt, what Claude should do, and a schedule when it runs. 2 flavors, recurring, runs on a repeated cadence every morning at 6 a.m., as an example, or one time, fires once at a future moment tomorrow at 3 p.m. So that I've really used it mostly for recurring tasks, but that's kind of a cool idea that you could schedule a task out for the night before you take out your buyer to go showing, to look at your calendar and see what addresses you typed into their calendar invite, and then create that listing briefing that we were talking about. When a task fires, it runs in the background using the same tools and connectors I have now: Gmail, Calendar, Notion, Slack. Output can be delivered to in an app or an email or a posting in Slack. You can edit or cancel at any time. So because we built the daily briefing skill, it already, well, I think because we built that, maybe not, maybe it asks you this every time, I can't remember. But basically, what should a scheduled test do? Pick the closest mask. You could, if you didn't have this skill installed already, go ahead and just pick this daily briefing. And then we are going to give it a prompt, and that would be a way to like get yourself started today if you missed 2 weeks ago. If you were here 2 weeks ago, we are going to give it a custom answer here and say bandwidth brief every morning at 8 a.m. Every weekday, start of workday at 8 a.m. So it basically, like, I gave it a couple answers, it asked me a couple more questions, got it, bandwidth brief every weekday at 8 a.m. So now it's creating a scheduled task. This tends to be incredibly efficient. Like, it's already asking me if it should schedule the task. And I haven't even given it any instructions yet. So I'm going to hit cancel. And then I'm going to say run the bandwidth. So I just hit the / button. So I'm going to say run the, and then I hit the / button. And now, because I already have a skill in Claude Cowork called bandwidth brief, I just called in that skill to the task, and I'm telling it to run the bandwidth brief skill every weekday morning at 8 a.m.
So I have a question.
Yep.
So since the permissions, I just looked at the details, and this is why I'm asking. So permissions say the Claude has to ask you permission to send an email. So the details that I got on mine says it will create a draft, but it's not going to send it to me without permission. So
I believe that's a great point. And because we don't have that permission turned on, I think both you and I have that same setting. If we want it to send an email to us, we'd have to go back and update that permission. That is correct.
Or just change it to a Slack message or whatever.
Yeah, you can kind of tell it whatever connected way you wanted to receive that. I actually have mine sending me an iMessage every morning, just like a text from myself. It's kind of funny. Myself sends me a text message. So that's up to you, really. Well, I'll show you what an example of the email is, and then let's go back and look at that setting so that we can, check that out. So I do have a prompt in the notes today, and I'm going to post that in case any of you need some training wheels here, like you missed the skill creation and you want to customize this a little bit more. This is going to be a prompt that you could use to copy and paste into your scheduled task chat to get some more clarity. Did that post?
There it is. Yep.
Is it there?
Yep.
I left momentarily accidentally just now, so I hit refresh and it got me out. Okay, so then, so now we have this, let's see, it created the scheduled task, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, bandwidth brief skill, that's what we told it to do, runs every weekday at 8 a.m., pulling unread Gmail, today's calendar into your morning rundown. One thing worth doing, since it uses the Gmail and calendar connections, hit run now once from the schedules section in the sidebar. That pre-approves the connector permission, so future 8 a.m. runs don't pause waiting on you. Also note,
Shay, can you reshare your screen?
yep, sorry.
Hmm.
Got all discombobulated when I hit refresh there. Okay, better? So I'm reading
Yep.
from here. This is just what it told me. Created the scheduled task, done, bandwidth brief runs every weekday at 8 a.m. Pulling unread Gmail and today's calendar into your morning rundown. One thing worth doing, since it uses Gmail and calendar connectors, hit run now. From the scheduled section in the sidebar, that pre-approves the connector permissions, so future 8 a.m. runs don't pause waiting on you. So I think, Chase, this might fix our problem, but I'm not 100% sure.
Single permission. Yeah.
Tasks run while the app is open. If it's closed at 8 a.m., the brief runs on the next launch. So sometimes when I don't leave my laptop open, I'll show up and open my computer, and Claude is telling me, hey, your 8 a.m. briefing didn't run. So it really does depend on you being having your computer open and running. So we're going to go over back here to the scheduled, and now we're going to see the scheduled task that we just created. As you can see, I have way too many of these samples. Not necessarily running all of them. So the bandwidth brief is here. And I wanted to show one more setting. When you are back at scheduled tasks, if you see here, it has a question. Scheduled tasks only run while your computer is awake. Do you want to keep your computer awake? So when enabled, Claude will prevent your computer from going to sleep. So that's a useful setting if you want these to be running in the background. So here is the bandwidth brief that we built. And here's the instructions. And Claude did a lot of this writing itself and pulled it from the bandwidth briefing. As you can tell, I wrote in here ADD friendly because I like to stay really concentrated on what I need to do each day because I have a crazy job and I'll get distracted very easily. So you can always, edit that out or do anything that you would like to do to customize that a little bit more for you. And then I'm going to hit the run now, and the run now button is going to give me the ability to do a test run. I think it's going to give me the ability to authorize my email and my calendar for this specific task so that I don't get the task or Claude doesn't get stuck getting authorization there next time. This is also where I can delete the task. So let's say that I'm like, oh, I don't really need that bandwidth brief anymore. I built something that's different and it connects to Claude and does something different. You can come back here and delete that. You can also come here and edit. So if you say like, oh yeah, I'm going to take out the ADD friendly and I use, Microsoft Office. And, if you want to have any other information in here, you can also see that like this Claude took this capability itself, but like it's telling it added itself because I have a company knowledge and brand voice skill. It added that in as part of the task to use that memory to create this. So it just gets smarter and smarter every time I use it. And it's pretty cool that I didn't even have to prompt it. It literally just came up with that itself. So I'm going to hit run now, and it's going to start. And you can see it's running the skill. It's loading its tools. Searching threads. So we're going to let that run, and I'm going to come back to my notes here, and we'll come back and check that out in just a moment. Does anyone have any questions about how far we've gotten to this point? Like anybody get stuck on anything?
If I'm using this, and I work from home, but sometimes I go to Starbucks for half a day to work, and so I have to unplug my computer, go there, find an outlet, plug back in. So it isn't like I could be on 8 to 6 every day without my computer ever being off. I wonder if I need to be mindful of if it's going to run when I'm in the car, or or I'm in between locations or whatever. I guess, are you mindful of that? Do you have it run at a certain time that you're always on, like at 8 a.m.? Or are you doing it periodically throughout the day?
Great question. So I have a couple different tasks that run at different times throughout the day to kind of help keep me on track with all the different things I have going on. I'm the COO for a large real estate team, and I have the REC stuff that we do and all kinds of different things. So I have a few different times throughout the day that these scheduled tasks run for various projects. But what happens, Robert, is that if my computer is off, it just doesn't run. And then as soon as I open my computer and Claude opens, it tells me like these three things didn't run, and I just run them real quick. So it's not something that's like imperative that you have going, but if you want it to work the way you want it to, this is where like it kind of shifts your thinking once you get really deep into all this stuff, because it can do so much for you. But you almost want to start thinking about like I haven't had a desktop computer in, I don't know, probably a decade and a half. And all of a sudden, I want a desktop computer because I can just think about how amazing it would be to keep all this stuff rolling and, shooting me an email 3 times a day to tell me about the most, urgent thing I need to be looking at, a pre appointment prep, things that are left undone from my morning briefing at 4 o'clock. You can just like imagine the types of things that if you picture like an assistant tapping your shoulder each day, like here's the things that you need to prioritize. That's what's possible with Claude if you get it set up right. So
So if I have a phone, when I downloaded it this morning, when you just sent the link, I also downloaded the part that it says, do you want a mobile access as well? If I do that, and let's say I'm out golfing with a client or something like that, and my phone's on, do I get notifications on my phone that things are happening that I need to get back to if it's tethered to my laptop?
the way that I would set that up is only to get an email. Like no, it's a nuanced answer. So the Claude app on your phone doesn't have all the capabilities as it does on the desktop. It does have the capability of chats so you can use it just like Chat GPT, where you go and ask it a question, but it doesn't have the capabilities of Code and Cowork on your phone. So if you have in Claude Cowork, which is what I was just demoing, if you have a scheduled task, what you would want to do is schedule the task to run and send you an email or a text message or a Slack message, whatever makes sense to you and your work style. So in that case, you get up and go golfing at 7 a.m. At 8 a.m., the email is going to deliver to your inbox. And the way you would interact with it with your phone is by reading the email. If you wanted to go and like prod it to do something else for you, it would have to be scheduled, or it would have to be something that you can run in a chat. Does that make sense?
Yep. Sorry, my mute was on. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, so that would be the easiest way I could think of to set it up the way that you want to use it, and you can elaborate from there. But that's the basics.
Good question.
Yeah, great question. Okay, so basically, we ran the task. We're going to show the results in just a second. So basically, for $20, which is the Claude membership, you've just now hired an assistant who creates a briefing for you every morning at 8 a.m. You can, as you saw in my Claude skills, or in my Claude scheduled tasks, I have 20 of these things running now that are like all different purposes. Like some of the examples I just gave in that conversation, where it's like, I want to know, okay, here's all the things I need to be focused on at 8 a.m. But let's say it's a day that you're out showing, you go to a listing appointment, you come back to the office and handle some business that's really important to you to get back to that day. And then by the time you know it, it's 4 p.m. You can run a scheduled task that goes back and checks that 8 a.m. briefing, checks to see what emails you've sent and what what is ahead of you in your calendar, and do some wrap up for the day, for instance. So I have like a wrap up task. So there's all kinds of different things that you can get going on once you get all the basics set up here. And again, that's just for the $20 a month version. So really, I think that it's possible to get yourself basically an assistant that is helping just keep you on track, keep your schedule on track. I call it like a chief of staff. Like, who I need somebody to tell me where to be, what to pay attention to, help me do some basic drafting of emails, things like that. So the next one that we're going to build, we had 2 weeks ago built Chase a brand skill. So again, go back to that recording. You can get the quick tutorial on how to do this. Claude is going to interview you, like what market you're in, what clients you serve, who your ideal client is, so several of those questions. And then it's going to create a skill around your brand. What we're going to do next is we're going to use that skill to create a draft for Chase every Monday that is ready to be posted to his LinkedIn, and then emails the draft to him. So for instance, this is going to run on Sunday nights at 7, and it's going to email the draft to him so that on Monday morning when he sits down at his computer, he has got the drafted LinkedIn post ready to go. So we're going to go over to Claude Cowork. And we've got some top emails to reply to today. The inbox is otherwise quiet on real replies. Here's today's appointments that we need to look at. I have no showings coming up, and make sure not to let these 3 things slip. So basically, here's the email. I didn't go to the step of having it send me an email, which all I would have to do is tell Claude right now, go ahead and send this to me in an email every morning at 8 a.m. Add this to the skill. But this gives me the basis for what it's going to send me, just kind of like in a draft form. And the reason that doing that first run is so important is because it authorizes all of the tools to help do this work. So we're going to go over to a new task, and we are going to create the content engine for Chase. And sorry, you have to I clicked on the wrong thing. You don't want to click on a new task in Cowork. You want to go to scheduled, then top right hand corner, new task. So I'm going to create, in this case, I'm going to set up the task manually, and I'm going to call this Chase content engine linked in post weekly. Okay, so now I am going to, there's a prompt that I'll drop in the chat, and I'm going to use that prompt to create, and you're just going to need to edit the prompt when you are building, because this one is referencing the Chase Whitney skill, and it's talking about Chase's marketplace. So you'll have the ability to edit that out and put in your own information The other thing that you could do if you're just wanting to build this and you don't want to like edit anything, you just want to get the hang of building it, is you could just build the Chase Whitney content engine task and then you can always go back and delete that and start over and build your own. So whatever you guys want to do just for speed today so that you can get one of these under your belt. So I'm going to paste that prompt right in here. And I'm going to set the frequency, to weekly at 7 p.m. on a Sunday and hit save. Okay, so I found the saved task that we just created. This is the Chase Content Engine LinkedIn Post Weekly. Schedule a content draft to run every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. When it runs, trigger the Chase Whitney Content Engine skill. Draft a LinkedIn post for Monday morning publishing. Topic should rotate through a current North OC Long Beach market observation, consultative thought on buyer or seller decision making, a reframe of a common real estate myth or cliche. Follow Chase's voice rules exactly. Casual, witty, direct, consultative. No fear mongering, no fluff adjectives, no cookie cutter market takes. Soft, consultative CTA only. Frame everything around the client's goals. Email the draft to me at your email here. So I didn't give it my email, but that's something that I can go back in and edit. With today's subject line, Monday's date. This is a demo, first run, give me the email and the run chat, not in an email. So we want to go in and edit those things. Let's say that you're like, well, this isn't me. I want to edit this to be my brand. You would go in, build a skill, then you want to tell it to bring in your brand engine skill or content engine skill. You would want to go in here and give it a few topics that it should rotate through. You would change this out to say, follow my voice with whatever those items are. And then email the draft. You would add your email right here. You can
Hey Shay, I'm hitting a roadblock on the email. I even looked at the permissions overall. I don't even see a send email option on the connector. So that might be. Have you been able to have them actually send emails?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I like I said, I'm texting, emailing, Slack, message. So I'll have to figure out how I got it to do that.
Okay.
And then I can do like a follow-up post to figure that out.
Okay. And I'll go and ask for share.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
For right now, if if you're having trouble with the email it to me, you can always just have it run. And then I've gotten in the habit where first thing in the morning, I'm checking my Claude because it's run a few things for me. I click through a few of the tasks, read whatever it has to show me. Like that's a basic way to do it if you're having trouble with getting it to email it to you. But I will post a video on how I got it to do that.
Perfect.
Okay, so I've got all this here. I'm going to hit save again. I just wanted to show you guys how to edit it. So everything's there, Sunday at 7 p.m. And I'm going to hit run now. Again, good idea to always just go do that initial run when you create a task, because if there are any permissions that it needs to get access to, it's going to ask you for those permissions. We don't have any of those permissions here. Oh, but I lost the view button. There we go. Okay, so it's working on Chase's task right now. And anyone have any questions about that one besides the email issue, which I will work on? Anybody building live and hit any other roadblocks? Just crickets right now.
I am good so far. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, I just too.
Yep, I already built the daily briefing. That's done, which is great.
So great. And I'll figure out how to get it emailed to you. I can't remember.
Robert, were you saying something there? I'm sorry.
I just downloaded the pro version right now, and I just have to get it set up. So there's a little bit of a hiccup on my computer getting it set up for the developer mode. I'm going to get that set up and then kind of mess around with it. So I think the next time we have a meeting like this, I think I should be a lot more prepared and actively working on something.
Love it. Shay Page, great question. Should she be concerned about Claude mining her Gmail privacy concerns with her clients?
Are you so you're in the real estate industry? This is I would encourage you to go to Anthropic's website and read more about their security. Most people that are in the circles that I run in, unless they're in healthcare, as far as AI tools go, they have as much trust in a tool like Anthropic as they do in their Gmail, in the sense that there's a couple settings that you can turn off. Like there's one setting in privacy where you can turn off this setting to help improve Claude. So allow the use of your chats and coding sessions to train and improve the Anthropic AI model. You can turn that setting off, which is how I have it set. That is one way to ensure that you're not training the Claude model on your intellectual property, the data that you add to Claude or to Anthropic's tool. I would encourage you to go to their website and read more about their privacy. They have a privacy policy just like all the other tools that we add our data into. And so, obviously, if they had a big data breach like that, where our client's information was leaked out, that would be terrible. And so the people, like I say, that I know who are smart about these things feel like they can trust this company as much as they can trust like a Google or one of those companies, just because their business model is so dependent on people adding their data, if that makes sense.
And
But
actually right there is the link to their privacy. It says right there.
Oh, that's it. It's right here.
That.
Oh, perfect.
No, above that. How we protect and how we use are both right there.
Perfect. Great.
Yep.
So thank you for pointing that out. I didn't see that. The other thing, just while we're here, is just sort of like a power move that I learned from a community that I'm in. I go here to export data. I should be doing it about once a week. As soon as you click this button, it generates you a link. And it says, okay, you want all conversations, from how long? I want it all. Export. That is generating me a link that's going to go to my email that's connected to this account. As soon as I get the email, you download it and store it on your computer. This gives you a backup for all these scheduled tasks, these chats that you have with it, or any of the saved settings that you have, which is great. So I had a snag today. This is this is where demoing live is always fun. I'm not exactly sure what happened here. So I'm going to go start over it. It's telling me there's some sort of API error with thinking. I don't even understand what it's saying. So I'm going to go back to my scheduled, and I'm going to go back to Chase's content engine, and I'm going to hit run now again. And we're going to hope that the situation resolves itself, because I really have no idea how to fix that situation.
That's the good old fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again.
Exactly. I really haven't, to be totally honest with you, of course, I haven't ever seen that kind of error. I have seen an error where like a tool is having trouble connecting, or like all of these connector tools are called MCPs. And, sometimes there'll be an MCP that is down. Like, Slack, for instance, will have an MCP that's down. And so I can't see.
You got something to approve.
Sure. I thought it was already scheduled, but maybe I'm in some kind of a weird loop here. But let's just see what happens. Hopefully we can get it fixed. So got it. So it asked me to create a second one.
There we go.
Here it goes. Okay.
Perfect.
Yay, it ran. Okay, so Chase, you tell me how good this is, okay? Be honest. So here's a piece of advice making the rounds again. Wait for rates to drop before you buy. Sometimes that's the right call. Plenty of times it isn't. It depends on what you're actually trying to do. If you're planning to stay in the home for a decade, the rate you lock this year matters less than whether the place you actually want is on the market when you're ready. If you're stretching to qualify and a quarter point decides whether the math works, then waiting might be genuinely smart. The headline hands everyone the same answer. Your situation doesn't have the same answer as your neighbors. Before you wait on a number, get clear on your timeline and what better would actually need to look like for your life. That's the part we're thinking through first. If you're weighing this right now, happy to talk through where you'd really land. Topic, bucket use, reframe the common real estate myth, cliche, waiting for rates to drop. Next week rotates to a North OC, Long Beach market observation. So this is your post right here. How's it sound?
Can you go ahead? Can you just go ahead and send that to me so I can copy and paste it into Facebook?
You got it. So yeah, no M dashes, no rhetorical questions, no rule of 3, no fear mongering or fluff. Soft consultative CTA, framed entirely around the client's goals, ready for your edit before it ever goes live.
No, that was honestly very, very good. You're always going to want to read through it, and I might make a one-word swap or something, but you're talking about like a 10-second revision, right?
But
and that's fantastic.
Think about what a bottleneck solver this is. Like, social media is not my strong suit, and LinkedIn posts are not my strong suit, but I could see this on your profile and read it and be like, that's Chase. This is a great post of Chase. It doesn't sound contrived. It doesn't sound written by AI. And so the fact that this is just done for you on a Sunday night at 7 and you show up with it in your inbox, which I'll have to circle back on, but you show up with it in your Claude Cowork and you can copy paste it into LinkedIn. That's, I think, incredibly powerful.
Yep. And then the way I would take that a step further, because this is now looking like a Victor replacement, which is now making sense from what you shared a few weeks ago. But you could theoretically, and I got to build this, but you could theoretically then sync this skill, make a very specific skill for this, to where it then the fourth topic rotator could be to check granola for meeting notes and contact notes and leveraging real discussions that we had into a topical observation versus just go find something people are talking about versus, hey, Chase talked to the seller and their 17 questions were really relevant. Here's a post based on that conversation. That's where it gets even more powerful.
Absolutely. And for those of you that don't know, Granola is like a meeting recorder tool that sits on your desktop as well. And for instance, one of my scheduled tasks is to go through my Granola transcripts from the last day and find any tasks that need to be added to my to-do list. So my briefing gives me a list of like, hey, 2 days ago, you said that you were going to email such and such, such and such. I don't see that it's been done. Do it. And that's huge for me, because if you sit in a lot of meetings and have a lot of opportunities to do follow-up, it can be hard to keep track of at times. Same thing with clients, like client meetings, things like that. Sure, I'll send you that. If you just tap on Granola when you're sitting there at that client meeting, you can train your Claude to help you keep track of those tasks.
I wasn't joking, by the way, about giving me that post.
Don't you worry. I will email that right over to you. So one last thing that I just want to review one more time so that you guys know how to manage your tasks and where to go on that. We've covered it a couple of times, but I just want to make sure that this is easy for you. You're going to go to Cowork, scheduled, and then the scheduled task, the newest scheduled tasks pop up down here. You can click into the task, you can edit it, you can make changes to it, you can run it now, or you can delete it. If you're like I'm going to delete Chase's task or Chase's scheduled task when this is done, because I don't really want to manage his LinkedIn posts.
Just update this task with the email being my email and let it run, baby. Let it run.
Let it go. Totally. So that's just a quick reminder, and we went over where to find your skills too. So you can go to customize, click on the plug, You're going to find your skills that were created. So today we used the Chase Whitney content engine. You're going to build your own if you weren't here 2 weeks ago. And the bandwidth brief, which is going to give you a briefing each morning with like what showings you have coming up and things like that. So anyone else generate any good ideas on things they want to schedule from this training? I would love to hear if you have something great.
Paige said, you are great at live tutorials. Thank you. I would agree. Shay has a very good pacing through this stuff, and it's very complex, and she makes it very simple.
It's really great to hear that, because sometimes when you're in the weeds on it all, you're like, gosh, I hope that all of this is making sense.
Anybody get one built on the call? Anyone actually get the first one, the second one actually finished? I know Robert said he had some issues with downloading the app, so he'll get that taken care of hopefully tomorrow. Paige got one finished. Excellent.
Thank you. And there's a couple more questions. Jason, as far as plugins that for what agents want, let me show you a section here. So back to your home screen here, then we go to customize, we click on the little plug. Here is plugins that are just standard to Claude. I think I may have installed the Slack plugins, but other than that, these all come and you can add them here. So you can browse the plugins, and then like there's a whole suite of plugins based on the topic. So for instance, you saw that I have the sales plugins. So this is some different skills. So plugins and skills have a lot of the same capabilities. And there's some built-in skills that are a part of the sales plugin. So you might play around here. Prep me for my next sales call, process my call notes into follow-ups, review my pipeline for risks and next steps, research your prospect before outreach. So there's a lot of basics that are built there. And then it's pretty easy to build your own just by chatting with Claude. If you go into the skills section and you create a new, you can create a skill with just like a chat. You can also upload skills that you might see. I would caution everyone to be careful with that. There's a lot of people online these days that are saying like, oh, hey, check out my Claude skill. It's so cool. It does all these things for you. Here, you can download it. Just give me your email. You download it, you upload it to Claude, and no one really knows what that skill has inside of it. And let's say that it might have some bad code in there that reads all of your 2-factor passwords. Like, don't want that. So I would really only install skills from people that you trust or build them yourself. Any other questions before we take off today?
So maybe going further on Jason's question, and I can post this and ask and share too. I just went into my cloud and just said, hey, give me 10. I didn't do a very good prompt here, but give me 10 creative and super useful scheduled task ideas for Cowork to share with our community. And just real quick, daily ops brief, database, decay detector, looking for cold past clients, contingency deadline monitoring, home anniversaries and birthday anniversary, creating custom messages for each client within their birthday window, auditing speed to lead, market pulse, 5-star review getter to customize 5-star review outreach, right? To customize messaging per client to maintain your 5-star reviews across the platforms. Listing radar, looking for daily new listings, price drops, expires in your farm areas, meeting the content mining system, pipeline pulse every Monday morning, summarizing your pipeline movement in your CRM. That's just 10 really quick ones. So there's a million things you could do here.
For sure. That's a great
sourcing where I can find a Captain America shield would be a good one. That's so sick.
Chase wants that really bad, Jason. If you want to make his day, all you have to do is shoot him an Amazon link. It would make his whole world. All right. Well, cool. I think that's good. I don't have anything else to share, but please definitely post your questions if you hit any snags and ask and share. I'll do some research on the email delivery because I know that that's a really useful tool for me. Figure out how I did that, and I'll circle back.
Okay. And then real quick, just last housekeeping. I'm not going to share the link again. The link's already there for you guys to jump in. And it was back to back. Elena is doing a deep dive walkthrough of SureSend CRM platform literally as we speak. It started 2 minutes ago. Appreciate y'all being here. And Shay, again, thank you. That was excellent.
Yeah. Thank you guys. It was great to be here. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye.